You know, every garden, every single field, every patch of dirt has a story. It's like a secret history, written right there in the minerals and the microbes. And most of the time, we don't even think to read it. But what happens when that story turns into a mystery?
We've all been there, right? You've done everything you're supposed to. You've watered, you've weeded, you've kept a close eye on them. But still, something is just wrong. The leaves are looking a little yellow, the growth is kind of stunted. Well, this is the case file we're opening today, the mystery of the suffering plants.
To solve this, we've got to become soil detectives, because every handful of soil isn't just dirt. Oh no, it's a treasure trove of evidence. It holds all the clues that can tell us exactly what's happening beneath the surface, a story of either vibrant health or some hidden hardship.
And just like any good detective, we know the whole investigation hinges on the quality of the evidence we collect. It's everything. So our first step is to get out there and gather our clues, the soil samples, the right way.
And believe me, this has to be a meticulous process. You can't just go out and grab a scoop from one random spot. No, you take multiple samples or cores from all over the place to get a full picture. You got to use a proper tool, not just any old shovel, and collect everything in a clean plastic bucket so you don't contaminate the evidence. Then you mix it all up really well to create one single representative sample. This isn't just a scoop of dirt, it's the fingerprint of your entire field.
So, how deep do you dig? Well, it totally depends. For a lawn, as you can see here, you're only going about 4 inches down. But for something like an orchard, you have to investigate much, much deeper. We're talking 18, maybe even 20 inches, way down where those big tree roots are pulling their nutrients from. The crime scene changes depending on the victim.
Okay, so our evidence is bagged and tagged. Now we head to the lab. This is our high-tech interrogation room. It's in here, using some serious chemistry and sophisticated instruments, that we are going to make our soil sample talk and spill all its secrets. But before the interrogation can really start, the evidence has to be prepped. The soil is carefully dried out, then it's crushed up and passed through a really fine sieve. This just makes sure the sample is totally uniform and that every single particle is ready to be analyzed. Think of it like forensic prep for our handful of earth.
Now for the key to this whole operation, the extraction reagent. A much cooler way to think about this is like a chemical truth serum. We add this solution to the soil, and it literally forces the soil particles to let go of the nutrients locked inside, the very secrets we're trying to get our hands on.
And to actually listen to what the soil is saying, we use some really powerful tools. Instruments like an ICP-AES are just incredible. Honestly, think of it as a multi-suspect scanner that can check for dozens of different elements all at once from just one tiny sample. It's unbelievably efficient.
So the lab gives us this flood of data, but data without context is really just noise, right? Now we have to act like real detectives and compare our evidence against a lineup of the usual suspects, those key chemical culprits that we know can cause all sorts of problems for plants. And here's our lineup. First up, soil pH. This is the fundamental character of the soil. Then you've got the big three everyone knows, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, or NPK. We're also checking organic matter, key secondary nutrients like calcium and magnesium, and even the trace evidence, those micronutrients like zinc and iron, that plants need in tiny but absolutely crucial amounts.
What's really cool is we can get a quick visual on pH. Just by adding a simple indicator, the color of the solution gives us an immediate clue. If it turns red-orange, like you see here, we know the soil is very acidic. If it's green, it's neutral, right in that sweet spot for a lot of plants. It's a quick, kind of old-school chemical clue that's still so useful.
Now, to understand the soil's history and how fertile it is, we look at organic matter. And there are two main ways to get at that. Wet digestion is a chemical process using some powerful stuff to measure organic carbon. Loss on ignition, or LOI, is purely physical. We literally burn the organic matter away in a furnace and measure the weight that was lost. It's like using two different forensic techniques to get to the same truth.
So, we have all our results. The lab's given us the numbers for pH, for phosphorus, for zinc, the whole shebang. But the numbers themselves, they don't solve the case. The real detective work, the true art of soil science, is turning all that raw data into a clear diagnosis.
And this right here is the key to everything. For every nutrient, scientists have figured out these critical values. These are the thresholds that tell us if a plant has enough of something, if it's running low, or if it has so much it's actually becoming toxic. A number is just a number until you compare it to these known ranges. And then you get the aha moment. We run the numbers from our sample, and look at that. The phosphorus level is sitting squarely in the deficient zone. Phosphorus is vital for roots and energy, so a lack of it would perfectly explain our stunted, struggling plants. This is our smoking gun. We've found our culprit.
So, for our case of the suffering plants, the lab report is conclusive. It wasn't some mystery disease or a weird pest. The problem was a critical phosphorus deficiency, hidden in the soil this whole time. Case cracked.
Okay, let's move on to the final and honestly, the most important step. Because cracking the case is great, but what really matters is what you do next. We need to turn this diagnosis into a solid action plan. See, the lab report doesn't just hand you a list of problems. It gives you solutions. It acts as a precise prescription, telling you exactly what kind of fertilizer to add, or how much lime you might need to fix the pH, or which specific micronutrient is missing. It's a science-based plan to get your soil back to full health.
And the science can get incredibly specific. For instance, when you add lime to raise the pH, how well it works actually depends on how finely it's ground up. Based on the particle size, a lab can calculate that a typical sample might only be 70% effective over 3 years. Why? Because the finer, smaller particles react way faster. It's details like this that can make all the difference.
So why does all this detective work really matter? Well, because it replaces pure guesswork with hard data. Instead of just randomly throwing fertilizer on your garden and hoping for the best, you're applying exactly what's needed and only where it's needed. This leads to healthier plants, better yields, and it's just a much smarter, more sustainable way to take care of the land. Every single handful of earth around you has a unique, complex story to tell. It's telling you exactly what it needs to thrive. The only question is, are you ready to learn its language and actually listen to what it has to say?